All right. And here we go. We are, since we're live, I guess we'll see what happens. I'm Wes, and this is my new YouTube channel. We're going to be doing a bunch of hobby stuff. We're going to be doing a bunch of just sort of nerdy gaming stuff over the, I don't know, coming shows, I guess. Probably starting off with a weekly hobby stream. Probably Friday nights, I'm thinking, about this time, 9 p.m.-ish. And yeah, that's where we're at. So I'm going to be hanging out and doing some painting and building and all kinds of just sort of goofy hobby stuff. And I invite you all to hang out and listen while you do your own hobby stuff. Join the chat. Go ahead and ask any questions you have, or comments and whatnot. And I'll be here to field said questions and generally chit chat and hopefully entertain y'all. And that's the plan. So on tonight's sort of menu, there's I'm going to be working on some terrain stuff, trying to get that stuff at least reasonably finished. Probably not like 100%, but that's the plan. That's the goal. And I also have some Black Knights from Games Workshop that I'm working on for my Legions of Nagash army. And so I'm going to be probably trying to slap some paint on those at some point. So got a lot to get through. Not all going to happen tonight, but we'll see what we can get done. So join me and let's get this ball rolling. And my wife picked me up this wonderful beverage. I haven't gotten to try it yet, so I guess I shouldn't say it's wonderful just yet. Bergkopf. It is hard coffee. I'm not familiar. I've never had one, but it is apparently a malt beverage with artificial coffee flavor and caramel color. Yep. But we're going to give it a shot. We're going to try it out. I do like a stout. I don't know if it's anything similar. As a malt beverage, I'm assuming it's like just a malt liquor that has coffee flavor. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. That's about what it smells like. Ooh. Not great. Not gonna lie. Yeah. It's all right. Can't all be winners. It was thoughtful. What can I say? So let's see here. Terrain-wise, I'm working on finishing this guy up here. It's one of the Gryph-hound statues from the Shattered Storm Vault terrain set for Age of Sigmar. It's a really cool set. Too much left to do on it, actually. The whole set, that is. He was kind enough to gift me the Shattered Storm Vault set for, I think technically it's for Warcry, but it's it's the same Age of Sigmar terrain, just sort of repackaged for Warcry. But I've gotten a couple of the big ziggurat bases done, a bunch of the pillars and so forth over on my shelf there, and so I've got one of these statues finished, and I did my best to replicate the just turquoise for the stone. So I still have to add the veining into this one, the black and sort of whitish gray veins, and then paint the amethyst eyes and any of the gold effects, and then it's done. So hopefully that shouldn't take too long. The other one came out pretty well. There's pictures of it on my Instagram. I'll probably throw a link up to my Instagram in the show notes in the description, so that anyone that's interested can go check it out. And that's the plan. So here goes nothing. Brush going. We need some paints. We need, what do we need? We need some black. We need some gray. We need, that's our gold. Most of my paint collection at the moment revolves around the Citadel paint range. And then I have a big collection of the Army Painters paint, which I've used a fair bit. And then I have some of the Reaper paints, but just sort of a random collection of stuff that was sort of gifted to me. So I haven't used them a ton, so I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other on them. Brush. Actually, I already made one post on Facebook and Instagram regarding this stream. I'm going to throw the link out to a couple of other places. Let's see if we can get anyone in here. All right. Paint gets good shake. Dab. Hello to Gina, my wonderful wife. Thank you for being the first person on my stream. I hear you cackling back there. Thank you. All right. Down a little bit. All right. So I did, on the other one of these statues, I did the veining. I just kind of did some thin black lines, sort of running diagonally across the statue itself. A couple of them got a little wacky. I tried to get a little creative with it and put some weird little squiggles in there. I don't know if, technically speaking, turquoise has any weird squiggles in the veining, or if it's just sort of usually a little more cut and dry. But hey, it's just kind of for fun, so it doesn't have to be perfect. All right. Let's see one running from here. I like to think this was carved out of a solid chunk of turquoise, so I like to continue the little lines sort of over all of the elements that might be in the way. So I'm going to bring it down the side and across the foot. I think that's a good first one. All right. And repeat. Excess off there. And let's see. Do one sort of across the haunch. The mighty haunch. And the idea with these lines is don't make them perfectly straight, which is easier than it sounds. A little squiggle and a little wiggle. You gotta remember this is essentially a natural sort of thing we're going for. So if you make them straight, it's not going to look natural. And so we've got a good couple there. Let's do one kind of running up around the head here. I do usually kick them all at the same angle. Once again, I don't know that there's necessarily a good reason for that. I think much like the different layers and strata of rock, I think the veins tend to all run in one direction. There might be some splitting and forks here and there, but so I tend to just kind of run them all in the same general direction. So we're going to do from the top here, one across the head. And run that down. But then that's also going to cross the paw right about there. So we're going to just do a little line there. There we go. And let's have this run right back here. There's not really a whole ton of planning that goes into this. It's just sort of whatever looks right. I think that's pretty good there. Vein just kind of disappears behind him, behind his little leg there. Crosses over, is cut away there. Continues down across the paw. I think that looks pretty good. And we'll just kind of tack another one across the other leg. About here. I don't know whoever's tuned in. You can let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay, because I have no idea if the audio is even kicking through here. Guess that'd be real embarrassing if it's not. Hmm? I'm sorry?
Can you go live on Facebook as well?
I don't know if I can do both at the same time. I could sure try. I know I can't keep track of both chats at once. Unless I sort of split the screen here. Hopefully it won't crash the stream. This and this. Half the screen there. There we go. Now let's see. Do live video on Facebook. All right. I should be live on Facebook now too. Hmm? Okay. So that means should be hitting up both. All right, so that works. That's cool. So I can stream in both places at once. That's good to know. All right. Keep checking the chat here. All right. Here we go. That's painting this. Add a couple more little veins. And we'll see where we're at. I feel like it needs a little something in this area here. Starting here. Which one's up over here? There we go. Hey, Molly. How's it going? How's my audio? Can you hear me okay? Hey, Alex. How's it going? You guys can just let me know if you can hear me okay. If the audio's coming through fairly clear, that would be a huge help. That way I know I'm not just talking into the void. try a little typing. Audio? Question mark. Is it okay? Question mark. Can you hear me? Let's see. The joys of a first stream. Troubleshooting, troubleshooting, troubleshooting. The more of these we do, the better we'll get at it.
You're lagging quite a bit though. Just so you know. So like it's behind like 15, 20 seconds.
Live streams usually are behind. I think Facebook lags more than YouTube usually. Thank you. All right, so there you can see the it starts the veining there, the black lines across. Pretty straightforward. Looks pretty all right. And so we're going to add some glazes of Ulthuan gray. These I'm going to be adding in just sort of below the black lines, so it's going to be glazed in, so the it's sort of like a stipple as well, so it's sort of like looks like just little dots of mineral deposit up underneath the black line. And we'll see under still. Work. A little bit in the tip of the brush. Dab off the excess. Let's see where this goes. It might even be too strong. Feather it out a little bit. Lower it down even more. That's better. That's what we're looking again, because we're going for something that is sort of naturally occurring, natural looking, it doesn't have to be perfect. If it's splotchy, that's actually better. And if it's like a uniform sort of line, because uniformity looks way less natural, at least to me. Yeah, thank you. So I'm just tapping in some, feathering in some this light gray. It's a light blue gray too, so it goes nicely with the rest of the blues on here, if I do say so myself. And we're kind of brushing up and into that black line I did for the veins. So you get this deposit of color where the brush lifts off, which is directly under. So it starts out kind of thinner and blends up into that sort of black line, and then just at that black line, I lift off the brush, and it leaves a little dot, a little puddle. And in this case, the tide marks that leaves behind when it dries, again, to me, look like mineral deposit or, you know, something like that, like a naturally occurring sort of striation in the material itself. I don't know how well this is going to show up if I get zoomed in there, but you can see just under that middle vein, it's got that lighter sort of coloration, goes up to, and in some places I'll probably glaze up and over the black so it's not quite so black. It's got a little bit of, I don't know, cloudiness to it. Again, variation is the key here, because if it all looks exactly the same, it's not going to look natural. What's up, Justin? See a couple people on Facebook. How are we all doing tonight? Hope everybody had themselves a good week. I hope you're not going too crazy with this whole staying home thing. For those of you that are staying home, I myself still working, and it's not exactly the I don't know. I'm enjoying the homeness when I can get it. We're getting there, folks. I think we're getting there. Just about done with the this particular step. Trying to get up under his chin, reinforce some of these a little bit. It's either just a little too uniform, or it's not quite the color I want. Or it looks too much like a brush stroke and not enough like, again, something naturally occurring. What I missed is his wee haunch here. Hey, Chris. How's it going? Hope you and the family are doing well. So what we've got going on here is I'm working on, again, it's this Gryph-hound statue from the Shattered Storm Vault set for Warcry and or Age of Sigmar. It's just some terrain, and working on painting up the statue to look like turquoise. I want him to be carved out of turquoise, and I have some silly reasons for that. One, I like the stone turquoise, but I have sort of some headcanon, if you will, as to why that might be an important stone to people who built this temple. The idea is that all of the terrain I'm building is all for the realm of death, Shaiish. Now, the sort of manifestation of death magic in my eyes, and the way my army has been sort of painted to look, is all like bright blue, turquoise. All of the little guys in the army, whether it's the heroes right down to the battle line guys, have essentially like this pale turquoisey blue, like super bright blue glow in their eyes. All of the skeletons, you can see it in their eyes, their nose, their mouth, their rib cage. Like, it's just sort of that unholy, undead sort of death magic glow. So the reason that the people who built this temple chose turquoise is because it is the stone that most closely resembles the magic of the realm, being death magic. So that's why I chose the color. And I have the one that I did previously, because the set comes with two of these statues. And so the one I did previously, I did in the same scheme. And I was really, really happy with the way that one turned out. And so this one, I'm hoping I can at least come close to sort of duplicating or replicating that, the style and the scheme in which I painted that first one. So far so good. I think it's coming along quite nicely. So this is where we're at for tonight. We're working on this, and I've got a whole pile of prime terrain over here. And when I did my last Facebook live stream, I had the all the knights that I was priming, the black knights that I was priming out in the garage. So those are sitting over here too. So depending on how much time I have, I'll probably slap a little bit of paint on it. We're about 40 minutes in, and I'm planning about a two-ish hour stream. So probably not going to get to all of that, obviously, tonight. Well, I'm definitely not going to get to all of that tonight. I'm hoping if I can at least finish this guy, then that's one thing I can check off my list. And then I'll try and throw some, that's what I thought, the turquoise, capturing the death magic aura. I think it sort of gives that vibe well, I think. So a lot of the lot of the artwork that you see in a bunch of different IPs, whether it's the uh, Warhammer stuff specifically, or like even through like a bunch of the Blizzard game IPs, like Diablo, World of Warcraft, stuff like that. That sort of bright blue was always very, and it's to sort of be clear, it's sort of like this color blue, very sort of like ice sky blue, sort of, again, turquoisey, real bright. So that's sort of the color I went for. It sort of spoke to me. You see, depending on the artist, in some of the Games Workshop artwork, it takes on like a slightly greener tint. So it's like heavy. Yeah, yeah. Magic does the same. So I'm certainly not the first to come up with it, and but it's something that I enjoy. So actually, the sort of theme or grand overall design for my Death Army, I'm doing my best with my fairly limited hobby skills. Um, I'm doing my best to emulate the sort of art design from World of Warcraft's Wrath of the Lich King expansion. My game plan is to do all of the, especially all of like the sort of like higher ranking, higher echelon heroes. They're going to be painted up sort of to look like Death Knights. On my Instagram and on my Facebook, there's linked images of the Vampire Lord that I did in my sort of quote unquote Death Knight scheme. It's like a metallic purple armor with silver trim, and it's got some like really pale, like cold gold for the, like some of the sort of more accent bits on the armor. Um, so I think it looked pretty nice. And then he, of course, has like super pale, super bluey skin, like a white blue, and then his eyes again have that sort of like bright turquoisey glow to them. So, um, and I plan on doing several different sort of iterations of that same Vampire Lord. It's a fairly like easy to come by model. Like you can find tons of them for cheap on eBay. And they've got a couple of different like weapon loadouts for him. So I'm going to sort of swap some of those things around, and then that way, depending on what I feel like using at any given time, I can pull the rider off the zombie dragon and then put another one on there. And if you're familiar at all with the Wrath of the Lich Warcraft expansion at all, and if you're not, feel free to Google Syndragosa. Um, that was one of the big frost dragons that the Lich King, raised from the dead. And so my zombie dragon that the Vampire Lord rides around on, I'm doing my best once again to sort of emulate the feel of that sort of like frosty undead dragon vibe. So that's where that's at. But yeah, so I'm trying to use a lot of the same sort of color schemes from that game because I played very heavily during that time period, and it sort of left an imprint on me. So yeah, that's what I'm shooting for. Hey, Allison. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had so the cold temperature undead look is one I really like also. I mean, like, I tend to enjoy that sort of like frozen tundra vibe. Um, and I have for a long time. Um, the first box of uh, hey Allison, thanks. Um, let's expand this chat window a little bit so I can see a little better. Yeah, Gina's my wife Gina here is sitting in the background watching Breaking Bad. It looks like so, and the baby is asleep on the bed there, Morgan. So that's I'm managing to get this done while the baby is sleeping about 10 feet away from me. So that's not bad. Um, as for the dragon, Allison, yeah, I can't wait to see the finished product. Also, I know the vampire that rides on top. He's done, or at least as done as he's probably gonna get. Like I said, I'm probably going to build a couple of different sort of versions or iterations of him that I may that I'll paint in the same scheme and do the same sort of treatment to. It'll just be like instead of a lance, he'll have like a sword, stuff like that. So that's basically that's the plan there. But the dragon, dragon herself, she she's maybe like 50% done, or yeah, like 60% done ish. I put a lot of time into the wings, getting the wings looking good. And I'm really happy with the way that those turned out because that's like a big, like, uh, sort of eye catching bit of the model. And so I picked out some colors that worked well. And I'm really happy with how they came out ultimately. I had a lot of problems with the rest of the model because normally a model like that I like to paint in sort of sub-assemblies, like smaller bits, and then attach it all after the fact. But I bought it on eBay already assembled, and so I didn't really have that option. And so trying to paint it all in one piece as it is has been a little bit unwieldy. And yeah, I found that like even like there's a brass rod stuck up into the bottom of it that is what supports it on the base. And even holding it by that, like it's not very stable. So I've been like trying to hold the model itself to paint it, and then paint just gets rubbed off. And so it's been sort of like an ongoing struggle where like I paint one section, it looks really good, and then I start focusing on another one and realize that like a bunch of the edges rubbed paint off of, so I have to go touch it up again. So it's been a tricky bit, but I've been having fun with it. I haven't touched that model in a while though, because I've been trying to focus on other stuff. It has enough paint on it that I can put it on the table and play with it, and it's not like embarrassing to me. But at the same time, it's not up to where it needs to be. So I'll redirect and finish that up at some point in the near future. But I'm trying to just get some of these other little projects done along the way. Yeah, it's kind of being a pain in the ass, but it's not like not. This is sort of the exception to the rule, I guess. Like I don't usually have this sort of trouble. It's just because it's a very large model that was already pre-assembled, and yeah, so that's all. And Chris, I'm not super familiar with the Gundam model you're talking about, but I'm glad that I'm making you consider getting back into some form of hobby, whether it be the painting and model building. It's my personal favorite, but Yeah. Jumping back up to your earlier comment too about the cold undead versus like other versions. So the main core of my army is little skeleton warriors, and the first box that I put together and painted, I did in a much warmer scheme. Like the bones were all, instead of being like that like cold white sort of bleached bone look, like I imagine bone would look if it was like out in the frozen tundra somewhere, you know, like it's going to get sort of the wind is going to blow and the bones are going to get scoured clean and it's going to be out in whatever sun and cold, and stuff like that. So the bone, the newer stuff I've been painting has all been very like sort of pale and bleached, and but this original set was a lot warmer. It was a lot more brown. Instead of doing the sort of purples and, you know, heavily rusted silvers and stuff, it was a lot of reds and golds and stuff like that. So the overall look is much, much, much warmer, and it just didn't fit the aesthetic that I was going for at all. So to be fair, when I painted those up, I was painting them for the purposes of using them in D&D. So trying to fit them into this army was not even a thought that I had at the time. So at some point, when I feel the need to do so, I'm going to go back and repaint them, and just basically bring them into line with the rest of the guys that I have so far. So that's the plan. And hello, Ashley. I just noticed that you joined. I don't know if you're still there, but hello and welcome. For those of you in the Facebook chat, just a heads up, I am also simultaneously streaming this on my YouTube channel. And let me see if I can pop a link. Nope, that's not it. But I'm going to highly recommend that you guys go and subscribe to that, because I'll probably be doing streaming on both platforms for the time being. But I think I'm going to be focusing on YouTube streaming. I'm also going to be doing a bunch of other sort of YouTube content at some point in the near future. It's just sort of a matter of when and I'm able to do it on a regular basis. But this particular show, if you want to, you know, go there, this particular stream I'm going to be doing on a weekly basis. So it's going to be the same time. It's going to be 9 p.m. on Friday nights, going forward, because this is the time that I'm normally doing my hobby stuff anyway, sitting right here at this very desk. And so I usually even have my laptop open and I'm streaming YouTube, you know, like watching other people's streams and stuff like that. And so I thought to myself, hey, why not flip the script a little bit and just hit record instead of play? And so it's kind of where we're at with that. So I'm trying something a little new, something I've actually wanted to do for quite some time. And the Facebook live stream that I did last weekend was kind of me dipping my toe into it, and I had a lot of fun. And so I decided I was gonna keep going with it. So here we are. Sort of getting back to the model itself here. I think all of the little white, you know, light blue sort of accents on the veining is done. So you can see the black veins themselves running through the stone, and then the accompanying lighter line that is just sort of like different colored mineral deposits. That's essentially part of the same vein as I tend to see it. And again, I don't know if this is 100% accurate to what turquoise actually looks like. I do have a few pieces of turquoise around that I attempted to sort of use, but I know there's different kinds of turquoise, even different colors. So, you know, what is it? So this is a statue for a terrain set that is from Games Workshop. The terrain set in particular is called the Shattered Storm Vault, and it is essentially like a large temple structure. I have right up here. I'll show you. It's not quite done, but it's getting there. So this is one of the big bases for the temple compound itself. It's a modular terrain system. So there's this is just sort of primed black right now, but it's a pillar with like a little torch on it. And you can kind of, set them up on the base, and then this goes on the table that you play the game on, and it just makes the table look cooler than just a flat, whatever. So it's dressing for the game table, and I'm trying to get all of that stuff done for myself and for the table that I'm trying to work on. And ultimately, the plan is once again on the YouTube. I'm going to be doing battle reports at some point coming up. So I'm trying to get enough terrain done that I can do the battle reports. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar, battle reports are essentially like you just record the game from start to finish, and then so it's like you just can watch somebody playing the game, and then you'll have like usually there's like an after stuff like that. So but yeah, so this statue in particular is of a what's called a Gryph-hound. So it's basically like you think of like a griffin being part eagle, part like lion. Well, this is part eagle, part dog, basically. And so yeah, so there were two of them that came with the set, and the other one I painted up in the same way. And so now I'm just trying to get this one done to match. And so yeah, that's where we're at with that. And I think next is the all the gold metallics. So for these, I went with a sort of like a warmer gold, almost like a brass, sort of copper, somewhere in that range. But yeah, it's definitely a darker, warmer gold than I've used on a lot of other models in my army itself. But I figure this isn't part of the army so much as it is like it's a piece of terrain. It's like sculpted gold on a statue. So it makes, I think, a little bit more sense for that to be a little bit more ostentatious and elaborate and just decorative in general. So plus two, the entire model is obviously very cold because of the blues and the turquoises. So having the warm gold contrasts nicely, and it just kind of pops out and looks pretty good. So it's a little bit of the thought process that I put into it. Hopefully that light is, I know it's washed out entirely down here and it just looks like it's glowing itself, but as time goes on, I will be improving this setup dramatically, including better lighting and so forth. Normally I'd have the overhead lights on as well, but since my daughter is sleeping down here, we didn't want to flood the place with too much light. So yeah, but hopefully at some point, not too distant future, I'll be able to get some sort of a better camera, because right now this is just right off of my laptop camera, so it's nothing fancy. The audio is just the stock, laptop microphone, so we're not doing anything crazy and fancy yet. What's that? The camera's clear. Well, that's a plus. So yeah, so you know, we're going to sort of add to the setup as we go. Um, but one of the things that I'm looking into, maybe even for next week's stream, is the OBS program, and see if I can get that to do anything fun and interesting, and maybe help out a little bit with some of the quality of what's going on here. Um, Ultimately, I'd like to get two different cameras, one that's sort of pointed down over my work area so that it shows a much closer view of what I'm actually doing. Because I recognize right now, especially right now, where there's this massive, like, bright spot, my hands just kind of disappear into the white, and then nobody can see what I'm actually doing unless I hold it up to the screen. So here you can see, I think, a little bit of the gold coming in on the collar of this guy. So I look and sound good for a laptop. Perfect. That's great. I know from last weekend's sort of trial run, um, the Facebook Live audio at least was really good. I don't know what the YouTube audio is going to look and sound like, and the picture quality seems pretty much the same, so pretty clear. So we'll see. We'll see how that all shapes up as we go. So, hey Ashley. So did everybody have a good week? Obviously, for those of you that are homebound for the majority of this whole thing going on out there, uh, probably not a ton of super exciting stuff going on, but hopefully you're keeping yourselves busy and not going completely nuts. Still just hunkering down, huh, Chris? Yeah, that's sort of to be expected, I think, at this point. Family's doing well. Kids, wife. Are they all home also? Ninja mask. That's awesome. Oh, nice. We painting on canvas or painting on paper, or like what were you specifically were you painting? Was it oil? Was it acrylic? Watercolor? Oh, awesome. Yeah, I myself am still working. As you well know, Chris, working for Owens and Minor, there's not really any reason that we would ever shut down. As I told my wife, it could be raining fire and brimstone outside, and I will still be reporting for work on Monday. So, for those in the chat that are not aware, the company I work for does medical supply distribution for a bunch of the local hospitals. So we are supplying the front line. Work actually has been surprisingly sparse. I will say that, sort of mirroring what you said about your wife. Um, since they're not really doing like elective surgeries and stuff like that. There's a lot less stuff getting ordered. So unfortunately, my hours have been cut short a bit. But I can't really complain too much, I suppose, because at least I'm still working. And there's a lot of folks out there that have it a lot worse than I do. So there's that. So is that what you were painting? Was superhero stuff, or was it, just sort of other random stuff? And as for Harley, is she a Marvel person or is she a DC person? And which is her current female superhero of choice? I assume everybody has a favorite. Working does suck. You are correct. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't jealous of people that are homebound right now. While I acknowledge the need to provide for my family and earn a paycheck, I also am envious of their free time right now. Oh, she's into anime. I see. I will fully admit that anime is not my forte, and I am not overly well versed in the movies, the shows, the characters, the IPs, if you will. So I am largely, with very few exceptions, I am largely anime illiterate. Part of me thinks I should look to change that at some point, but honestly, I don't find myself super interested in much of it. So there's some good stuff out there, but it tends to be so few and far between that I just sort of, as an umbrella statement, say I do not like anime. So that's pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie. I fully support all of that statement there about her making her own characters and writing backstories for them, and Jedi characters also, because as we know, I am a Star Wars fan through and through, and as an avid D&D player as well, I fully support character development, character design, backstories, and all those things. So. Now, the real question is, has Harley yet been introduced to the world of D&D? Because if not, you might think about trying that at some point. Honestly, if once this whole quarantine thing, yes, yes. I also am excited for Ahsoka to be coming to live action. I heard she was getting not only her own show, but she was going to be showing up on The Mandalorian season 2 as well. So that's exciting news. I thought she was a super cool character, so I'm excited to see how they portray her and how they bring her into this. Um, but anyway, as I was trying to say there, I once this whole quarantine thing is done, and Caitlin, hello there. I see that you have joined, and I see your comment, but it's apparently a little slow. And I hear the video. Well, for some at least, the video might be a little bit. There's always a bit of a delay with this sort of thing. But anyway, Chris, what I was trying to get at was once this whole quarantine thing is over and the whole COVID thing sort of hopefully goes away quickly, I would be super willing to run a game for your daughter and your son if he's interested. Obviously, you are welcome to join, and the wife is welcome to join. So I can set something up here and run a game for you guys if you would be interested. Probably just like a little one shot here and there, but it would be. I have a sneaking suspicion that she will enjoy it. You okay back there? Oh, I look like the Tiger King. Great. Matthew Gillis. What's up, Gilly? Yeah, Chris, if you're interested, like I said, that'd be a ton of fun. I did put together a few years ago now. I put together a like a Halloween one shot D&D not campaign. It's a one shot, but a D&D game that was like a Halloween sort of horror survival kind of thing. And originally, it was supposed to be for my wife and her friend, well, our friend, Allison, and her husband. But for whatever reason, I don't remember now, but for reasons, it just never ended up happening. But that I still have it kicking around, and all the stuff I built for it. So likely I will break that out. I bet that would be a ton of fun. All right, man. It was good talking to you. I hope you have yourself a good one. Stay well. You too, buddy. Take care. All right. So right now we're working on the gold around the collar and the chain. And then you can see here there's some like little rings embedded in the stone here. I'll be doing those in the same color. And once that's done, it's onto the eyes, which I'll be doing in like an amethyst stone sort of fashion. And then that's it. This thing will be done. So we're cruising right along. How's it going, folks? What? Oh, okay. You should try it. It doesn't even taste like coffee. It tastes like malt. Like it just tastes like straight up malt liquor. What's up? did what now? Oh, asked YouTube. Sounded good. Right. Lay down my piece. Try another step and see. Nope. No, 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 no. It tastes like citrus. Like it doesn't even taste like coffee. That's what I don't understand about it at all. Like it's like almost like a orange peel or something. I don't know what that is. But I don't know. Hello again, Caitlin. That's fine. Creep away. I don't know how much you can see. It's the background of the house anyway. I know you can see the TV. I don't know. It's kind of tricky for me. No, it's not Colt 45. It is, so it is Bergkopf hard coffee. What's up, Justin? How's it going? Yeah, Bergkopf hard coffee. It's a malt beverage with artificial coffee flavor. It is not good, is the short answer. Gina picked it up for me because she knows I like coffee flavored stuff like stouts and so forth. And so it was just sort of like an experiment thing. It was very thoughtful of her to pick it up, but unfortunately, it's a miss. Yeah, it's not. And don't get me wrong, I've had plenty of malt beverages in my day. So it was, I've had, no, it doesn't taste like coffee. And that's the thing that kind of drives me nuts about it. Like when you are, when you're given something that's called hard coffee, you expect it to taste, I don't know, a little bit like coffee. But it legit has like a citrus taste to it. And I can't even place exactly what it is. It's like somewhere between like an orange and a grapefruit. So yes, she's a wonderful wife. And I'm not just saying that because she's sitting in the background. But yeah, it's like I said, it's not my favorite, but it was worth a shot. It has a cool looking can, that's for sure. So um, it was certainly a good effort. Good effort. All right, getting back to this thing. Trying to get all the little edges that I missed the first go around. She refuses to dance in the background for you. She might be a little tipsy, but I don't think she's that drunk yet. She says, how? There's no way. She's in the darkness. Funny too, because I tried to tell her that the camera was pointed out into the room, so if she was, yeah, it is a rather large dome. All right, do some more of this chain. Trying desperately not to screw up any of the stone I've already painted. Feel like Club Hell. Oh, Club Hell. Those were good days. Hmm? Yeah, the chat's laggy in general, unfortunately. It's kind of why I was trying to steer people towards YouTube, because I think it's a little less laggy, but... Hmm? Right. For now, it's easier on Facebook, for sure. But I'll be putting this up on the YouTube channel. This will be the first of many. I'm going to keep this going long after quarantine is over. All right, we need more paint. Sort of the silly thing about some of this is a lot of this is just meant to sit on the table and act as just terrain, which is essentially why, well, that is what it is. But it's for the express purpose of doing battle reports. Now, the thing is, I'm putting all this effort into getting all the little tiny details just right. And no one's going to be able to see them in the battle reports because the camera's never going to be that close. But that's fine. I will know that it looks good, and that's the important thing. All right. Happy with the chain, the collar, solid coat. I'm going to do all the little extra rings and all that stuff. just so everybody's sort of on the same page, this is what we're looking at for the collar. And this is just the base coat of the gold. I'm going to be putting a wash over it and probably highlighting it with a lighter gold at some point, but just to sort of give you an idea of what it's looking like. And then here you can see I've done the middle little ring here with at least the first coat. I'm putting some more on there just to really drive it home. We're creeping up to about 20 minutes left in this stream. Anybody has any questions or anything like that, feel free to ask. Either about what I'm working on or anything in general, I suppose. Hello. Now, once these are all done, I'll have to give them a hit with some matte varnish so they don't get all chipped up and stuff. Terrain tends to take a beating, no matter how gentle you think you're going to be with them. Well, I tend not to varnish a ton of my models, which really I probably should varnish more of them more often, but That's something I will have to grow as, or grow with, as a hobbyist and painter. Supposing it would probably help if I ordered the right kind of varnish. Recently ordered some off of Amazon, and it looked like the right one when I bought it, but it was not, in fact, what I thought it was. Now, it'll still work, so I'm going to use it, but I had intended to buy the AK Interactive Ultra Matte Varnish. I ordered the AK Interactive just regular matte varnish. So ultimately, it's not that big a deal. Still matte varnish, but still not what I had intended. Trying to be delicate with this as I paint, because I don't like holding things in my hands like this. Normally with like figures and the models and stuff that I paint, I put them on some kind of a painting handle, whether it's just like, you know, a piece of cork or an empty pill bottle or something. I do have one of the GW painting handles that I use pretty frequently, but with a slight alteration. I have the sort of expandable end of it that usually holds the miniature. That part screws off, and so I unscrewed it and then just stuck some blue tack to the top of it and covered the screw with it, and then just stick the miniatures to the top of that. And I find that that does the trick as well, if not better, most of the time. And it's less intrusive. It's the one issue I had with that painting handle in particular. It looks it's this thing right here. This is the when it has the top screwed onto it. It looks like this. And let's see here. I'll take this little guy right here, Goblin, and so they socket into the top of it right there. But as you can see, it sticks out on either side rather far. And you know, when you're trying to paint up under something with a paintbrush, the handle collides with that thing constantly. And I don't like having to just sit there and, you know, constantly rotate the miniature inside of the handle either. So I just tend to, as I said, unscrew the top portion of it off the handle, and then with a little bit of glue tack over the screw, and then the miniature sticks on top there, and it's way less sort of surface area getting in the way. So for larger models, I guess I can still use that, but I tend to, again, just do this method for most of the little guys and even some of the bigger ones. But I have some of the larger like pill bottles that I use for like anything with like a particularly large base. that needs a little bit more support. So that's that. All right, I think those are good enough. You can see now I've got the little gold embellishments on the front and all the sides all done. And I'll be throwing a shade over all of it just to bring out some of the details a little bit. In particular, I'll be using the Agrax Earth shade from Citadel. Give it a shake. Grab a bigger brush for this. Set some of that up. Draw off a little of the excess. And just going right out of the pot with it. Not slopping it on, but just making sure that it gets in to all of the details. I'm going just a little outside of the lines too in this particular case because it sort of, I don't know, helps hide crimes a little bit and just generally almost black lines to a certain degree. And since this is just terrain, it doesn't have to be super perfect. Washes are real nice in general, at least in this particular application. You might not necessarily want to do an all-over wash everything that you do, but I guess if that's your style, then there's nothing wrong with it. I'm a firm believer that anything looks better than gray plastic, so as long as you're putting something on the model, it's a step in the right direction. Alright, so that takes care of the collar and the chain. I'm just going to do the little rings around this statue. Who's had in mind as the purpose for these rings. Obviously, it's embellishment, but it looks almost like a horse hitch. Just sort of like a random ring you'd like attach a horse to when you need to kind of put it up for a while. Sort of makes me wonder, like I said, what they had in mind. Because it just seems like odd placement. And I wonder if it was just sort of a case of adding detail for the sake of adding detail. They just kind of felt like, well, these pillars on the edges of this look a little naked, so let's add some embellishment. I know. How about some rings? But what to do? Why are they there? It just seems like an odd thing to have hanging around for no reason. Perhaps I'm overthinking it, but that's how my brain works. I wonder these things. It's almost like the Games Workshop obsession with skulls. They just, you can tell it's a Games Workshop model because it has copious amounts of skulls for no real reason. Which I guess in theory I'm not complaining about. I do like a good skull. So it's just sometimes it seems like an odd design choice, I guess. Especially when it's on a good guy. When you've got a good guy that's just covered in skulls, just, I don't know. All right, so those are washed. We're gonna let that dry. And while that's drying, we're gonna figure out what color we're gonna use to highlight this with. That's not even highlighted enough. So we're gonna go with some Sycorax bronze. We'll do that once it's dry. That being said, we are coming to an end quickly on this stream. We've got less than 5 minutes left before I go ahead and kill things. Much more clear in YouTube, says Chris. Awesome. Now, Chris, how bad is the lag? No lag. Oh, that's even better. Well, that fills me with minimal lag. Good. I can live with minimal lag, definitely. Yes, that's encouraging for sure. All right. So since it's 2 minutes left until I'm calling this stream done, there's probably not a whole lot more I'm getting done on camera here, but this is where we ended up. Not a whole lot of change, but I got the veins going through the stonework, sort of the, I don't know, mineral deposits or whatever as the stone forms. The gold collar is painted and is washed to darken it down and bring out all the little details and so forth, shade it down a little bit. And I've picked out the color I'll be using to highlight it with, but I'll be doing that not on the stream. Next week, I will show the progress where we've gotten to, what else I've managed to get done through the week. And that's kind of where we'll kick off the next stream, is getting caught up with whatever I managed to get done throughout the week. And I think after that, who knows? We're just going to kind of pick up where we left off, really. Just kind of keep this rolling. So thanks to everybody that actually tuned in and chatted with me here. We're going to keep this going. Like I said, this is going to be an every Friday thing going forward. And on the off chance that I can't make a Friday for reasons, whether it's vacation or travel or whatever, I'll try and have something else lined up, pre-recorded, that I can kick out on the same time, same day. That way, the YouTube algorithms stay happy. But otherwise, I'm usually here doing hobby stuff on Friday nights anyway, so why not try and hang out with some fun folks? And that's basically where we're at. That's the plan. So, all right. With that, we've been here for about 2 hours, and I've managed to get done what I got done. And I thank you all for joining. And we'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.